Hello and welcome to the Rose Rehash. Can you hear me out there? If you're in the comments, let us know. We're having tech difficulties. If you're here, let us know. The Rose Rehash is where I recap The Bachelorette every Tuesday night. We go over all the points of the episode that we enjoyed, the ones we hated, and then I give out awards at the end. What I want you to do is comment. Let me know what you didn't like, what you liked. Tell me where you'd give out roses, what you'd give out divorce papers to. Let's get into the recap because, they hear me. You hear me now. We did it. They can hear. Listen, I want you to comment. Let me know what you think along the way. Here we go. Okay, people, we're going to be talking Bachelor, Bachelorette. I want you guys to comment. Let us know what you're thinking, what you loved, what you hated. Tonight was a great episode. To me, it had everything. It had a little drama in the beginning. It had our regular Bachelorette stuff, group date, or one-on-one date, then a group date, and then we got to some drama at the end. That is a perfect Bachelorette episode. That is the one you want. You want something new, something old, something borrowed, something blue, just like they say in the wedding. So if you're not subscribed to the channel, get subscribed to the channel. If you're new here, we recap The Bachelor, and at the end, I give out awards. Let's start. Tonight's episode starts with Bennett and Noah. Bennett and Noah are in an argument. They have been sidled off. Tayshia has noticed drama between those two. So she's like, I want to bring you two, and I'm going to give a rose to one of you. So now Bennett is in a position where he has to defend himself. The problem with Bennett versus Noah is that when Tayshia starts being the moderator of this debate, she starts to get a front row seat about how these two are as a boyfriend. If that's how they debate each other, that's how they would debate her when they're talking about whether to put on the AC in the summer or not. Hey, this room is a little hot. Do you like sleeping in the hot? Bennett would be like, I told you I must be sleeping at 67 degrees Fahrenheit. Like, Noah chills back during this argument. Noah sits back and goes, you said, and Noah does give half a story. Noah will be like, you did say that, I'm a 14-year-old. And then Bennett can't help himself because he's an older guy. He's like, that is not what I said. I said you're acting like a 14-year-old. Bennett sounded like a dad talking to his child. And that is a problem for Tayshia to hear. When Tayshia hears that, she's like, okay, if he fights with another adult this way, how's he going to fight with me if we're in a relationship? He just goes, I said it was like fighting with a 14-year-old. I said you had a 0% chance of dating Tayshia, and I know what this woman wants. It's like, Bennett did all the bad things you could do in an argument for someone else to watch. He's treating someone like they're beneath him, and then he's enunciating words. You never want to enunciate words when you're in an argument, because if you enunciate, you will sound like a douche. Just try it. Just go, I did not. I texted you back. Like, it doesn't work. So Tayshia's getting a preview of what it's like to date Bennett. Bennett, they go, what's in the box? They don't even open the box. I think at that point, Tayshia's had it. She walks Bennett out and she's like, hey, buddy, you're gone. And Bennett does it. He goes, this doesn't feel real. And it's funny to watch Bennett get like upset about getting kicked off. Some guys will like cry. Bennett's like, this doesn't feel real. It felt like Bennett was getting fired from a bank he had worked at for 30 years. He's like, how could you? I've been here as a financial advisor at JP Morgan since the Carter administration. And then he gets kicked out. no tears, sent away. He's awestruck. She comes back to Noah, and Noah kind of shows his age. The minute she walks back, he's mowing down Tic Tacs. He's like a 14-year-old again, like Bennett said. He's like, hey, what's going on? I guess I'm getting that rose. And Tayshia's like, Tayshia makes the decision to say, I'm not giving you a rose, but I'm keeping you around. I have to take more time with this. It was to watch Noah just assume, like she walked in and he was like, yeah, give me that rose. I'll take it. Yeah, I got the pin ready. And she's like, no, I got to see you show me something. And Tayshia was right. Tayshia's sitting there going, I had to pull you away from the others for bad behavior. You're not exactly convincing me that you're good for me. You're just convincing me that you're better than the psycho I just kicked out. So we get done with that. We come to a rose ceremony. It feels like this season, rose ceremonies are like 7 years apart. It feels like we get like one rose ceremony every 8th episode. Also, every rose ceremony, I remember how many guys are left. It feels like we should be down to the final 4, but there's guys there. Damar was still on this show. We hadn't seen him since he tried to make up a song with a guitar a few weeks ago. So there are people that need to go. She kicks out Ed, our friend Ed the Head. Ed, it was great to know you. It was great to meet you. We knew you weren't going to win. Spencer gets sent home. Spencer had a cup of coffee on the show. He had one kind of moment, and then he really disappeared. You can tell she knew there wasn't a connection right away. And Damar goes home, and I couldn't even believe he was still there. So now we're left with Ben. Blake surprisingly sticks around. Blake, who falls in love with a street sign. He doesn't care. As long as someone looks at him the right way, Blake falls in love. So we got Ben, Blake, Zach C., Riley, Ivan, and Noah. And then there's one more, and I'm trying to remember. If you can remember who I'm missing, put it on the screen. So we're down to like a final 7, and we're gonna go on the we're gonna go on the Ben date. Ben gets a one-on-one date. And the dates on this show have been so bad, it's like they're not even trying. JoJo comes out in a scooter and is like, here you go. And it's like, I hope you have a Bird membership because you got to pay to use it. Like, it felt like everything on the date was bought on Amazon for $9.95. Like, there's a pool, like a blow-up pool full of tennis balls. Like, did you just find this stuff in the Lost and Found? They have like 30 piñatas. They're gonna hit the piñatas. They're gonna go they're already in the fountain. They're like, at this point, they're like, it felt like one of the producers was like, can we go in the fountain? And the head of the La Quinta was like, yeah, do whatever you want. There's no one else here. No one's here to stop you. The hotel is yours. Okay, so tonight's date is going to be in the fountain. We're going to pick a penny out of the fountain and then make a wish. And it's like, oh my God. Like, I feel bad for them because they're stuck. It's like, listen, let them put a mask on. I think there should be a government exception for the Bachelorette. Some government official should go, listen, everyone's got to wear masks. Everyone's got to stay in place, except if you're on the Bachelorette, because we need to watch some entertaining dates. Like, take them to a mountainside or something. Put them on a hike. Let us see Ben take his shirt off for a second. I just want to see something. So now they go through this date. It goes fine. They're going to go to, I wrote down, they're going to go now they're going to have a one-on-one date. They're going to have their cocktail date. Ben starts annoying, and then it becomes real. Ben starts at being like, I know I'm all perfect on the outside. And I guess at first it was annoying because you're like, Ben, we get it. You're perfect. You were in the Army. You look great. Like, whatever. And then he goes, no, I look perfect. And then you start to understand. He's like, I look perfect. But then he says that he has tried to commit suicide before. And you're like, that's when the show kind of stops and you go, holy shit, like, this guy's got real issues. He's had real problems. And I don't know how Tayshia handles that. Like, what do you do if you're Tayshia? You know this guy, but you just met this guy. You want to show empathy. You're also there to see if he should be your husband. So there is kind of built-in disappointment to this whole thing. So I kind of feel for Tayshia in that moment. Of course, I feel for Ben. I feel like that's horrible, and you hope he's doing okay. But you got to look at the whole thing and you go, Tayshia, like, oh my God, like, what are you doing? So of course she gives Ben the rose, and they're gonna go and do some dancing. And I love that the Bachelor in Quarantine has kept up with having musicians on the show. These musicians must really need to be there because they're like, hey, do you have anything going on for 2 weeks and 15 minutes? Because we're going to need you to quarantine for 2 weeks, and then you're going to play for 15 minutes. And this barista that they found, who looks like he was like plucked out of Brooklyn, he's like, dude, I'll do it. I have nothing. I need a paying gig. They won't even let me perform inside. Everywhere's freezing. And they have this guy play music, and I'm happy. I'm happy he's there. Cheers to the barista musician. So Ben gets a rose. We watch the barista musician. And now we're going to come back, and JoJo alerts the men that before the group date that the next date is going to be the hometowns. It's going to be a hometown date. So someone here is going to be, introducing Tayshia to their parents. And a few of these guys, the way they react to meeting their parents, you would think like Zach C is like, Zach C, the grossest crier I've ever seen. He's like, my parents are my heroes. I just thought, meeting my parents, that's for real. And it's like, dude, what bothers me about The Bachelor and Bachelorette is that all people say things as if they're things that not everyone feels. Like Zach's like, my parents, I love my parents. As if someone's going to go, oh, you love your parents? Who? You really? You love your parents? I'm kind of just cool with my parents. I kind of like, fuck them. I mean, you're going to meet these fucking people, but like, who gives a shit? Like, people say that like as if it's a interesting characteristic to be like, oh, I love the people that breastfed me and brought me up and put a roof over my head. Oh, really, Zach? Good for you. We do too. We all love our parents. We all, good for, you're not really impressing us. So now we're going to go on a group date, and the group date is a lie detector date. Okay, it feels like they were saving this one. The lie detector date is a good date because it does add a little drama. She starts, and they start by they did the classic lie detector thing where they're like, we're going to start with Tayshia. She's going to have to answer some questions. And they're like, Tayshia, is your favorite color really blue? And she's like, got me, yeah. And it's like green. And we're all supposed to be like, wow, Tayshia's the best. Tayshia, do you like going to the Bahamas and sitting at the beach? It's my guilty pleasure. Ding, 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 ding. It's like, okay, we get it. Tayshia, good job answering questions. And then they bring the other guys in, and they're like, Zach C, have you cheated? And he's like, yep. And they're like, fuck. And you just see like, oh, damn it. What are they going to ask me about my favorite colors? And it's like, they're like, Brendan, are you excited to introduce Tayshia to your parents? And he's like, and it's like, who is excited to introduce someone they met on a fucking reality show to their parents? No one's sitting there like, oh, this will go completely well. I can't wait to introduce my new girlfriend to my parents, who's also dating 8 other people at the same time on national television. Not nervous about that at all. And then so they get done with the lie detector, and now Tayshia they go from the lie detector to like the group drinks date at night. Tayshia comes dressed in a wedding dress. Like Tayshia is wearing to this group date what a woman would wear at her wedding if she had a dress change at the end of the night. Like Tayshia wore the jumpsuit with the long train that's fun for when the DJ comes on at the wedding. Like we've all seen this dress. It's almost like she's like reminding them like, ha, hey, take a look at the dress. here to get married. Remember, this is what I wear when we bring out cheeseburgers at the end of the night at the late night snack and that everyone acts excited about and like they never seen it before. This is what I'd wear. So they're on the date and she ends up having time with everybody and she's talking to all of them and they're doing this group date and it seems like she's getting along with people. And there's a moment where you could feel that Riley feels like he hasn't opened up yet, enough yet. And if you remember Riley's the guy that does the cheesy stuff every time he has 10 minutes with her. Every time Riley has a minute with her, he's like, here's a contract that says we're dating. And here is some cake because it's our 3-week anniversary. And you're like, Riley, fucking introduce yourself. Why don't you talk to her for 5 minutes and let's have a conversation? And Riley's like breaking down, being like, I didn't get deep with her. I got to tell her some real stuff. And you're like, dude, you saved it for like the last possible second. And then Riley goes into what I would call a 20-minute speech about nothing. Like, I don't know what he was talking about. He claimed he loved his dad. And then he was like, I don't like my dad anymore. He stole from my mom. I changed my name from something else because I was named after my dad to a new name. And you could tell even Tayshia was like, you did it, kid. Like, she went into full, like, not specific. She's like, you're a fighter because of it. And in conclusion, you're a fighter. And it's like, okay, now he's opened up. And it's like, there's a point where you go, Riley, dude, we got a lot bigger fish to fry. There's people with bigger issues. Stick with the cheese ball. Maybe that'll work. Keep doing the arm around her arm, drinking champagne move and see how long that takes you. Maybe you'll go to paradise. So we get done with the group date and Tayshia leaves the Ben. She doesn't give anyone a rose. She says, I can't give anyone a rose, which she's like, and all the guys are like, oh, cool. Like as if they're not fucking miserable about it. And then she goes to her suite and who's waiting in the shadows? Bennett. Bennett is waiting. Bennett has the worst face for shadow waiting. Bennett looks like he is a murderer out of a Hallmark Christmas murder story. Bennett looks like he literally is every Dateline murder mystery. Bennett looks like every Dateline that's ever been done. To Catch a Predator, he has a bad shadowy face. A bad face for shadows, I'll tell you right now. Because Bennett's sitting there like, hello, Tayshia. And he keeps smiling. I don't know why he was smiling that much. Like if you sneak up on someone, you should go, hey, I know this is weird. Like your hands, you should be clapping. You should be clapping. The minute you are in someone's property and you know you've done wrong, just, hey, I know it's weird. You got to do one, I know it's weird. Bennett goes right in, he's like, I've missed you, Tayshia. And you're like, dude, put away the teeth. The teeth are not a good look right now. I need to see furrowed brow. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to. I spilled the cookies, Bennett. Not I made you cookies, Bennett. Because we got I made you these cookies, Tayshia, instead of, I spilled the cookies. I'm sorry. Right? So now Tayshia invites him in and he's like, I want to come back. I'm in love with you. I didn't realize what I had until I lost it. And he goes into this whole speech and Tayshia's basically like, I don't know what to do. And then she goes, let me think about it. And Bennett's like, it was great to see you. And goes for a kiss. Dude, you've already been dumped. That, at that point, you're forcing yourself on someone. She said no is no. You said no. How unaware do you have to be to go, hey, I want to come back? And she's like, maybe. And he's like, well, it was good to see you. Let me know. What are you thinking, dude? You're getting a hug at the best. No, you go in for the hug, kiss on the cheek. So Tayshia sends Bennett away. She's going to decide in the morning. And that's our episode. That's our episode of The Bachelorette. A fun episode. A lot of good drama. A lot of good stuff. Good dates. And let's do the Batchies. Let's give out some awards. The Batches is my awards segment of this program of the Rose Rehash. I give out divorce papers to the people that were the worst this episode, and I give out roses to the people I love this episode. Let's start with the roses. I got to give a rose to Ben. Ben, I mean, at first I didn't like him because he went into this perfect thing, and then you start to understand, you're like, oh, he is right. No one would have thought someone that looks like him would have issues in the way he has them. There's nothing more to even say. You hope he's okay. You hope he's doing fine, doing better. Such a hard thing to come out with. I'm happy he did. I'm happy he got that out. The next rose is going to go to Zach C. Zach C., his ugly cry. It honestly feels like Zach C. pushes a button and water starts running down his face like it's a water feature at a nice hotel. Like it feels like Zach's face is one of those walls where water just comes dripping down it. Like it feels like he really gets into it. He does a thing with his hand where he goes, he has a cry hand. Zach C gets a rose. The last rose goes to Bennett. You took a shot. You did it. I have to appreciate anyone who goes, you know what? I made a mistake. Because for Bennett to come back, he not only has to weigh, it's not just coming back. It's also saying, I am committed to this. If you come back, you can't come back to go, I wasn't sure. No, you're coming back because you're committed to getting committed after this. So I gotta say, I liked him coming back. The divorce papers, let's give out some divorce papers. First one goes to Riley. Riley, you can't complain that you haven't had time to get deep with her when you've done every cheesy date that everyone does on the initial limo night. And then when you do get deep, we don't know what the fuck you're talking about. So the first one goes to Riley. The second one goes to Bennett. Bennett, you were great and you were awful. Bennett, I needed more. I spilled the milk instead of I brought you the milk. I needed more. Hey, the way you snuck up. You have to figure out how to match your face with the situation. You can't make this face, hey, I'm back, to someone that thinks you're gone. This face is for, hey, great to see you, when someone knows you're coming. You got to give this face, hey, it's, I know. You got to shake yourself off. You got to look at yourself like, I don't know what I'm doing, but I'm here. You played it wrong with the facial expressions. The last set of divorce papers, it's going to go to JoJo. JoJo, very low energy. I missed Chris Harrison this episode. I know she's new to the task. She comes riding up on the scooter, and Tayshia, for some reason, has to tell JoJo came riding up on the scooter, and Tayshia looked at JoJo like, oh my God, you look so cute on the scooter. No, Tayshia, you're the Bachelorette. It's your show. She's the host. Treat her like the host. If Chris Harrison came up on the scooter, you wouldn't have a scene of Tayshia going, Chris, oh my God, look at you on the scooter. She would go, oh, shit's got real. The host is here. The host is here. Stand up. Get ready. There's not the same level of respect for JoJo as there is for Chris Harrison. That's our episode. That's the Rose Rehash. We're here after every episode of The Bachelorette. We'll be back next week. Boom.